Rotus. I'm joining the
Yes.
call for the extension of time for Business
Yes.
Express.
Well, you know, I have to eliminate news at 6:30.
Never. So the hashtag is Business Express 981. WhatsApp number 0809 Hello, Judith. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Yes,
morning.
Judith is from Afrinvest joining us today. Judith, you're very, very welcome. So let's jump right
Thank
into
you.
things here. The market was up yesterday, 0.85%. We're still below 30,000 points. 29,746.24 is where we closed. For the month, we're still down by 4.17%. For the year, the market is still down by 5.36%. How many gainers did we have on the exchange yesterday? 21 stocks gained in value and 10 of them lost value. The top gainer was Chams, up by 10%. John Holt was down by 9.62. Doesn't John Holt make generators? I think that's what they do. What would happen if we had 24/7 lights? Would John Holt go out of business? I'm wondering. What would? Okay. All right, let's let go of that. Inflation. Judith, let's discuss inflation for the month of March. I am showing that it's moderated. Yes.
Yes. So NBS released last month's inflation data.
Uh-huh.
Um, what what we had for March 2019 was that inflation moderated to 11.25% from 11.31 in February,
Okay.
and this was majorly on the back of food inflation, you know, going down about 0.2 2 basis points
Okay.
anyways to
Okay.
13.45. So yeah, what we had a lot of increase in farm produce due to the harvest season
Okay.
in full swing anyways. um we don't mon- Funny enough, month on month inflation was actually up
Okay.
6 basis points.
Mm-hmm.
So we had increased prices in commodities like rice, bread, fish, potatoes, things like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
any outlook as to where you think is inflation going to keep slowing down for the coming months? How are you guys looking at things as far as the outlook is concerned?
No, at least for next month, we don't think it's going to. We think it's actually going to reverse.
Oh yeah.
Yes, based on the fact that planting season is about to start, so
Mm-hmm.
we expect there to be a shortage in supply chain.
Okay,
Basically.
okay. All right. Well, in fact, we're still on the agriculture tip. I don't know if we'll have time to get to this, but we have an announcement from our, well, not really an announcement, but an opinion from our dear Minister of Agriculture, the same Mr. Audu Ogbe, same individual who said that Nigerians were ordering pizza from London via, I will get to his story, but anyway, he's talking about the Bank of Agriculture needing to be recapitalized. I didn't want to touch that because, anyway, we'll touch that in a sec. Let's move on to some other pressing issues. Price of petrol in the month of March. This is a funny story, I thought, because prices didn't really move anywhere. But what are we seeing? Average price was what now? 145.30 kobo.
Yes,
Yeah.
145 and 30 kobo.
That's pretty much it. MBS. The controls are there. I do want to mention something though about this fuel situation. And I don't know, for those of you that are listening, if you've bought fuel recently within the last few days, have all the fuel stations in your respective areas where you live, have they been selling? Val, are they selling fuel in your area? They are? What about you, Judith? Are they?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. Well,
really
I noticed some filling stations were shut though.
aha.
really long queues.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to get to.
Some filling stations
I
were
had somebody
shut.
have to. I didn't want to be the one to say it. I wanted somebody else, and we didn't talk about this before the show started. Abi, thank you. So,
And the suspicion that brings up is maybe people are hoarding fuel.
Well, so in my area as well, I think there's about 5 or so. Only 2 are selling. Yeah. So I went to buy fuel for the gen. I went to go ask the guy. I was like, what's been going on? He said, and I'm quoting the fuel attendant, right? He told me that the price at which they get fuel from the depot from NNPC has increased. They used to get it at 135, yeah, 135 or so, or 133, 135. Thank you. And then they were selling it, of course, at 145 and making their profit. He said that it's now been increased to 144. He said anything from about 142, 144, and that it makes no sense for them to be able to sell. Right, they can't continue selling, so it doesn't make any. And so he was the only one I asked. There's a second. I drove to the next, the only other fuel station that was selling as well, because they were closed for a couple days. They opened again yesterday. The same guy there told me the same thing. Yeah. So and please, for those of you out there, if you're buying fuel today, if you've passed by any fuel stations that are not selling, just ask your pump price, the fuel attendant, ask them what's going on. Let's see if it's the same thing. But according to what they're saying, that's cost has gone up. So this whole thing where the federal government is still saying they're not increasing
They're not. Yes, they're not lifting up
the price. I mean,
Yes.
they're still saying they're going to keep the price at 145.
Yes,
I wonder how much longer that can last, because again, this is an internationally regulated commodity, so
they're saying that we don't have enough buffers yet
Right.
to absorb the shock on Nigerian people.
can we somebody asked me
But
this thing.
I know there are regulations around this. There's DPR, is it DPR, that has the oversight function over filling stations and ensure that they go according to best practices. They do not keep fuel, and they must sell to consumers.
But again, if this pen I'm holding in my hand, if it costs me 200 naira to get this pen, and you're telling me to sell it at 150 naira or 197, how am I supposed to make my money back? So again, listen, if you're out there, please let me know tomorrow. Talk to your fuel attendants and find out what's going on. But that's what they told me. The depot price has increased from 135 to 144, and they can't make a profit. All right, so we move from sorry, before I move on from that, this buffer thing they keep talking about. The Minister of Finance said it. I think she said it when she was in DC with the IMF.
Yeah.
What are they talking about? What's the buffer? They're essentially saying no.
We don't have alternative solutions to how it's going to affect Nigeria.
Right. So essentially, what they're saying is if they remove the cap on fuel and it goes to maybe 200 naira or 300, there has to be some kind of alternative cushion for Nigerians to. So what are you saying? Are you saying you're going to do welfare packages and give Nigerians money, or are you going to?
They haven't come clear with that.
Right, but you see, that's my
and
thing.
Then it's something that needs to be addressed
Yes,
as soon as possible.
But they've been saying these buffers for years, and they still have not articulated exactly what these buffers are. And by the way, for those that have been debating me for years now or months, including not the same Ibrahim on WhatsApp, the one on Twitter, those of you also saying the same buffer thing, please articulate what those buffers mean. Okay, I want to hear what those buffers are,
Because they weren't specific.
They never are.
They never
Oh, buffers. They want to put buffers in place to protect. What are the buffers, please? All right, moving on from that. Still kind of on power. We go from fuel to actually electricity now. This is from Nairametrics. Mojek. This is Mojek Meter Assets Management Company, which is a subsidiary of Mojek International Limited. They've signed Judith an agreement. With banks,
several banks,
okay,
to help with financing for the production of meters.
Of meters,
so
okay.
One company is signing.
Exactly. Where is that list of banks?
One company.
Let's find it here. So that one single company, they signed an agreement. Polaris Bank, First Bank, Wema Bank, Unity Bank, Keystone Bank, who else? Zenith, Sterling Bank, and then only one microfinance bank here, First Option Microfinance. So apparently how it works, I guess these banks are going to give loans to individuals so that we can get these meters, Abi?
Exactly. That's what.
What do you think? Is it a good idea? Think it works?
Well, at the end of the day, it's just one company producing these meters. How exactly are we supposed to meet up with the demand when we have a lot of content
a backlog, right? The people that don't have meters.
Exactly. So how are they going to meet up with that?
So we're talking about this downstairs. For those listening, this is almost like phones. Yeah. Imagine if only one telco signed a deal with like 6 or 7 banks to provide phones to how many Nigerians?
I doubt if they have the capacity to handle that.
The
demand will be too much.
That's the thing. It just doesn't seem like there's enough to go around. So it's a good thing, or I'm also in support of it, right? But I think the backlog is what it says, about 3 or 4 million meters that need to be provided to, or more than that.
Or the electricity meters.
Right, electricity.
About 4.3.
Thank you, about 4.3 million. So I don't know how this one company will do it, but still.
We need to take messages, but I understand that they have a collaboration. So the meter asset providers with the distribution companies
are supposed to get together,
to see how they can carry the weight of that.
All right.
Also, they're asking consumers to pay. So there's 2 price ranges for single meters and for 3-phase meters. Single meter is about 32,000. There's 3-phase meters about 62,000 there.
It's not cheap.
But there are issues around that too. But anyway, let's take messages now. Yinka says, does the MBS suffer from selective amnesia or deafness or blindness? In Bielsa, fuel is being sold for 160 naira. So where's MBS getting theirs? Even those who sell at 145 are scamming us, he said. There's this filling station, he called the name on a regular road that their pump is HELL. I'm sure their 1 liter is like 0.5 liters. Apparently, it was just
Yinka.
for that one.
Yinka.
And then please add your names to your messages so we can take them. This one is from Benga Kamu. He says, hard decisions need to be taken. Playing the ostrich isn't going to work very soon. The euphoria of victory will be over and hard reality will dawn. We're not really making any progress. And
Good point.
yes, one final message before we ball out here. Rainmaker says, Rotus, where are the Shopee palliatives? I still remember the thousands of buses bought by the GG administration after the 2012 protest. They've disappeared.
Right.
I do not trust federal governments with providing buffers. Now, buffers that will go into private pockets when the tables turn.
It's a valid suspicion from Rainmaker. Thank you guys for your messages.
Yes.
Judith of Afrinvest, thank you so
Thank you.
much for joining us today. All right.
We have an interesting conversation coming up next about real estate, for real though. Today is Wednesday. It's the 17th of April 2019. Thank you for joining us. Smooth breakfast.